Hey guys, this is Kurt. Just coming to you to talk to you about week 35, quality and excellence. I hope you guys are having a great day, great month. Look forward to seeing you soon. But let's just dive right into it. Day one, floating. What are the situations that tempt you to float? Floating, of course, being to be leaning on talent or experience. It's kind of drifting through, getting the C plus, B minus without a lot of effort instead of striving for the A. I hesitate to use that language, but I think it gets my point across. Um, so, what places are you tempted to float? What can you get away with when it comes to your talent or your experience, and just kind of float through? Um, Secondary question to that, though, for your forum is, what does God think of that? Is that okay? Is that not okay? If it's not okay, is it sin then? I think that's something that can be an excellent conversation about sloth. Of course, sloth being sin, but is floating sloth? And if it is, how do we deal with that? How do we think about it? So anyway, having that conversation about floating and then God's expectation versus floating, and therefore is floating sin, I think starts the conversation off properly. So that's day one. Day two, quality and excellence in who God is. In what ways does God reveal himself as excellent? In Scripture and in your experience. Well, in Scripture, of course, it's just ripe with excellence, starting with creation. God considered it good. It's just excellent creation. I think there are many of us that can go out into the world, go out into creation and see the excellence, get fed by the excellence of God out there in creation. So I think that'll touch a lot of people. There's also this excellence in bringing about the new creation, bringing us from Eden and the fall all the way to the new creation and the redemptive story in between. Of course, the excellence of Jesus Christ, the excellence and perfection of his sacrifice for us. All of that can be talked about in God's perspective of excellence. And then, of course, Jesus Christ being that perfect substitute. So those are the ways that God shows us in Scripture. The question is, in your experience, that's the next question. So they need to answer that for themselves. Hopefully they can see his excellence in, maybe it's a church experience, maybe it's their home experience, maybe it's in their salvation personally. Maybe they don't have a good home to lean back against. Maybe they haven't had a good church experience. But have they touched the excellence of God in their own salvation story? It'll be just good to make this personal. How does God reveal his excellence to each one of them personally? Day three, the life of a follower of Christ ought to be so distinctive that it demands an explanation straight from Scripture, straight from the book. Does this challenge you? How? It should challenge them because God is calling us to be something other than just another guy, just another leader, just another person. As a matter of fact, in that Malachi scripture, God's issue with the Israelites is that they hadn't brought him the best, that they hadn't thought enough of him, maybe, to say, no, we have to bring the first fruits, the unblemished calf, the best of the best for him. They were just kind of bringing what they could get away with, or what they thought they could get away with. And the Bible, in that scripture, it alludes to outside forces were starting to erode their sense of excellence before God. So instead of becoming excellent before the Lord, they were simply conforming to the world, which is the challenge we all face. Conforming to the world wants us to conform badly. And so it presses us on every side sometimes to become like it. And if we're not like it, there's a risk that we have of being challenged. So being a nonconformist in this world, of being a follower of Jesus Christ, instead of what people might call leading a normal life or running a normal business definitely has its challenges, but it also brings such immense blessing both to us and to the people that we lead and to God. You know, it blesses Him to reflect Him, that it's so worth the risk. But God is calling us to take a risk, to be excellent before Him, not be conformist before the world. Day 4, based on Psalm 78:72, what foundational principle is needed to lead excellently? So Scripture talks about the heart and the skillful hand, the heart and the hand. So let's talk about the hand first. We are required to have a skillful hand. A good leader is a good leader, a skilled leader, a person who's learned how to lead and grown into leadership. They don't just, well, I am the leader because I own the business, so therefore that makes me a leader. True, doesn't make you a good one, but it does make you a leader. But God is calling you out to be skillful at it. And so we're gonna have to learn. I have to learn, you have to learn. How do we become skillful at leading? But behind that is this heart, this pure heart of a heart that wants to shepherd, not just lead. And so we have to have this heart before God, which God needs to recreate for us to become pure before Him, to have integrity before Him, to be loving before Him, and therefore loving to the people that we're leading, pure to the people that we're leading, full of integrity to the people that we're leading. So they see the difference in us and reflect that somehow in the business that they're part of. So it all comes from a pure heart. And then day 5, quality if ignored will slip away, which is a superb quote. I love this guy, Max Dupree. If you haven't read any of his books, Leadership is an Art is an excellent book to read. But he's talking about all these ways that we can see entropy or a falling away from excellence in our companies or in our families. And he lists a whole bunch of symptoms that I think we ought to read and know, so that we don't allow our organizations to fall away from excellence. It takes a lot of work to get it to excellence, and then if we don't pay attention to managing it there and noticing when things aren't going well, which is every day, entropy wants to happen every day, that we don't notice that and kind of bring it back up to speed consistently, bring it back to excellence consistently, it will fall away. So that is kind of the point, to make sure that we're managing what's going on, that we're paying attention to the details, which is what the Scripture is really about. God giving detailed instructions for the tabernacle, and then this worker just giving amazing detailed work in response. And so notice those details and point out those details to the group. You can even ask, what kind of details exemplify excellence in their business? It'd be different, of course, for every business, but what kind of details would they talk about? Some guys will snap that up right away. I am a detail person, and therefore I notice the details. I'm not talking about me, I'm just talking about some of the people in your group. Others are going to be visionary. I notice the big picture. Details slide by me quite quickly. It's good for them to know that about themselves, because it's in the details that the excellence will start to slip away quickest. So how do they manage that? Becomes a really great conversation. Do you need to add someone who's detail-oriented to your staff? Do you need to give them the responsibility and authority to notice and manage the details? I don't know. Just part of the conversation. But excellence requires paying attention to the details, paying attention to symptoms of entropy, where they're starting to slip away, where excellence is starting to slip away. So that's what we have for this particular lesson. I would love to hear stories about how God works through your group and talks to you guys. Tell me stories if I'm not there. I'd love to hear about it, though. So hope to hear from you soon. If you have any questions, give me a call. Hopefully I will be at your forum, but as things continue on, there might be less and less happening. So God bless you guys. Love you a lot. We'll talk soon.